Hi everyone, I'm Jeffrey Cohen. I'm the Dean of Humanities in the College of Liberal Arts and Sciences here at Arizona State University, and I'm really looking forward to speaking with...
My name's Izabella Schalk. I'm a Japanese major and a freshman, and we're going to get started talking about yokai and monsters.
But maybe we should say we're at the Asia Center, and the Asia Center is a really important center for advancing the study and enthusiasm for Asia, including Japan. It's an important part of it.
Yes.
And I'm so excited to talk to you.
Yes, very excited. I suppose to kick off, I was curious why you think monsters matter, especially because you wrote your book. So I just wanted to hear a little bit more from you about that.
Sure. So, Isabel, you said you're a first-year student.
Yeah.
When I was a first-year student way back in the day, I decided to go from being a biology major to an English major. And just because I had a very scientific mind, I thought I should start at the beginning. So I started reading medieval literature that was written in English. And there are lots of monsters in medieval literature. And I kind of loved it. And it activated two things for me. One was like study of literature. I love stories. And study of language, because like Old English is different enough from modern English that you really have to learn it. And you also kind of have to know Latin and French and other languages around it. So for me, monsters were an invitation to understanding cultures that were not really my culture, but were part of a bigger world. And they seem to open these incredible doors to studying things that it's made me really happy as a student to spend a lot of time thinking with. Monsters are good companions for thinking through really tough things about being human.
Since like monsters, I wanted to know if you had actually ever heard of yokai previous to all of this, because I know some people don't, some people do. So I was kind of curious if you had ever heard of them.
I have, and I'll tell you why. And this is why I love being a teacher. So before I was at Arizona State University, I was at George Washington University. And one of my favorite courses to teach there was a course on history of monsters. And inevitably, I would have a student who wanted to work on Japanese monsters of some kind. And yokai would often be one of them because they're fascinating. Like when you learn about them, you want to learn more about them. So most of what I know actually came from students teaching me from their own interests, but it's not a subject I know a lot about. And the one other thing I'll say is one of the reasons like I wrote Monster Theory 30 years ago is because I was interested in finding ways in a world where it feels like we're all being pushed into our own like individual boxes and not talking around the things that we have in common. Monsters are something every culture seems to have in common. Like every culture has a different version, and the different versions change over time, but they give us a way in of like having something that we can talk about really seriously, but also with a little bit of fun, and learn a lot about other cultures through the exchange.
Yes. I don't know. It's like that's always interesting. I love monsters and yokai so much. They're always so fun.
Right, Isabel, you gotta tell me, how did you learn about them? Where did it come from?
So I started studying Japanese when I was a freshman in high school. And my teacher would actually, instead of learning Japanese on Halloween, she would turn off all the lights and have like this little red light and tell us a story, actually from the Kwaidan. And she would tell us about, most of the time she would give the story of the Mimi Nashi Hoichi, the story of the monk that lost his ears.
Such a creepy story.
So she would tell that one a lot, but I kind of was like, oh, this is cool. And I'd also been really interested in this show called Yokai Watch, which is like this anime that's like very about yokai and trying to like not really hunt them, but kind of more like befriend them. And I don't know, they've always just kind of been like a very interesting, like eye-catching thing to me. So now I'm just going deeper and trying to learn more.
Wow, I love it. But isn't it interesting too that it took a teacher on a special day and making it like a thing that engaged all the students. And like, you never remember most of what teachers say and do, except for the time that they act a little bit out of character and like bring their full self to it, turn out the lights, telling ghost stories. It's the best, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, let's see, where should we go off from here?
Can I ask what your favorite yokai is?
Oh, that's so difficult. Oh man. Actually, when I was researching, I found the Kirin. I don't remember much about it, but I thought it was just such a beautiful, like, looking yokai, and it's a guardian, but it was just so pretty, and so, like, interesting, and I want to actually learn more about it when I go to Japan, but it was really pretty. But,
well, I was lucky where I got to see all these PowerPoints you did on yokai, and the one I learned about that I just can't stop thinking about is Tofu Boy.
Yes, I've heard.
What's up with that? Like a one-eyed boy offering tofu?
So I did a little research before this. So the Tofu Boy is like a servant, and that's kind of it. He's just a little servant that like goes off and is like, here's some tofu. And
but he's creepy and cute at the same time. So you kind of want to take the tofu, but kind of not, because you're like, why do you have one eye, and why are you offering me tofu? And like, is there any story around it? Is it dangerous to take his tofu?
From what I understand, he's very like docile, very like sweet, very shy. So I haven't heard anything about if you take his tofu, something bad will happen. It's more of like he's just kind of there. He's just going around trying to give everyone tofu, I suppose. But
wow. It's interesting. The thing I was thinking about with him is there actually aren't that many monsters with only one eye.
Really?
There's the Cyclops. There's Tofu Boy. There's Mike Wazowski from Monsters Inc. But there's not a lot of others. Like usually, monsters and I think yokai are all about this. Like monsters are a way with playing with our body and seeing what the body can do. Like the yokai with the long necks that come out, and like what are the limits of human form. But usually the human form is pretty predictable, and we like our humans to have two eyes. So Tofu Boy only having one really stood out to me, and I just wondered what was going on there.
I find that so interesting because like many yokai are actually like very like neck up related.
Yeah.
So like even if it's an object like the kasaobake only has one eye, it's like one eye, two hands, and like normally it's depicted with like just one leg and a foot. But I find that so interesting that in like Western or other like cultures that monsters aren't really depicted with anything with that, but like yokai are like crazy about anything from like with the head, the neck, or anything like that. But,
that's so interesting. So have you seen Monsters Inc.?
Yes, I have.
Do you think Mike Wazowski is a yokai?
He could be a yokai.
He kind of could be, couldn't he?
Yeah, I could see him falling into that area.
Yeah, because he's got like a round body, one eye. There's something that is kind of cute and human about him, but something that's really off.
And in a way, I guess he does kind of give a consequence to an action in a way, which is something a lot of the yokai do. And speaking of that, I wanted to talk about, you had mentioned in your book or your theories that monsters are more like children to us. And I thought when I was researching yokai that yokai are more like a parental figure, because they kind of have this like consequence to an action type deal where it's like, you do this, then this will happen. So it kind of had like a parent like setting rules for children. So I don't know what you thought about that.
So when I saw your work on yokai and I was reading it, that really struck me. And I'll tell you, so in monster theory, the very last thesis ends with monsters are our children. Right? And it really is about owning them as things that we create and that we should feel a relationship of care towards since they're ours. Recently, I finished an update to this book called Monster Theory at 30. And I updated the 7 theses. And this is why it's funny to read and what you wrote. Last September, when I was updating the theses, the very last one where it's in the original, it says monsters are children. Now it reads monsters are our children, our parents, our grandchildren, our ancestors. Like they're family members. They come before us and they go after us. And I really had to think about like we need to open up that sense of belonging because they're kind of the past and the future all at once. So I think you're exactly right, and yokai are really cool for making that clear. Like we were just talking about the medieval monk who loses his ears, and lots of them do seem to travel from the Middle Ages. But then there are modern ones that get invented, and they're just like they're carrying that past with them, but then they're going in new directions, and they're really creative. So, yeah, I now I wouldn't even say they're children. I think they're family, and they're like the family that we don't always want to acknowledge and own. But there's a continuity between them and us.
Yeah, that's always interesting to think about. Like, I never grew up with like monsters being super like crazy. Like, it was always like, oh, I fear it or whatever. But now it's that I'm older, I'm like, wow, monsters really are a part of like everything, everywhere. It's just so fascinating.
So I think you're right. Like when usually you think about monsters, you think about fear. But having thought about monsters for a long time, I have to say I don't know if there's a difference between fearing something and desiring something. Like it's a strong feeling, and sometimes it's really hard to tell what the difference is between like wanting to run away from it and wanting to run towards it, wanting to be it, wanting to say absolutely not. Like the monster's really good at making you do that. And I can ask you a quick question about yokai. Okay, so here's the other thing I was thinking about when I was doing Monster Theory at 30. Like our reaction to a monster is usually, first of all, it's fear. That's the first one, heart's beating, or like, oh my God, got to get away. But it's also can be desire. That's why most monsters in the West have this arc of going from like vampires are the most fearsome things to, oh, they're the best lovers and they're so cool. And like, but they're both things at once, but also they're hilarious. So it's like you get fear, desire, and laughter all at once. And it's almost like all those things are built up in one thing. Do you think yokai do that too?
I would definitely say they bring up like all kinds of emotions like that, because there are like hostile ones, but it's has this like mix though, because like they're hostile but they're kind of cute though, or they're hostile and they kind of have like this attractiveness to them, and then like even like the tofu boy is kind of goofy, silly, but also a little unsettling. So I think definitely like many yokai can spur on like different kinds of emotions despite like being hostile, docile, or anything like that. I think it all just kind of depends on the person and how they want to go about the yokai, I suppose.
Do you think yokai stories change over time, like vampire stories do, for example?
That's a good one. I think I think they say generally the same, but with modern media, it can definitely make it a certain way. Like I was talking about the anime that I had watched. That one I think kind of it takes some like more hostile yokai and it makes them more cute and cuddly and fun. So it definitely can make it different because I never viewed like kappa. They're the little like green with the cap on the head that stay in the river. They're very mean.
Because they're the ones that will drown you if you go by the river, right?
Yeah, they're very, very mean, but they have turned into something very cute, very fun, and like today, because there's all kinds of like there's a yokai amusement park now, or more like a little park, but it's become like mascots too. So many mascots with like kappa and different yokai. So definitely changes a little bit, but generally can kind of stay the same.
Do people, have they become like products that people buy and wear on shirts and things like that?
Yeah, I find it interesting though because I've been talking with some more friends about it. It it's both very popular and also not as well known because they'll be like yokai. What are you talking about, yokai? And then, but they'll still know what it is and still be
Mm-hmm.
interested in it. And there's like the little capsule toys. They'll have little like different yokai in it or anything like that. So they're definitely like it's merchandise you could go to Japan at least and definitely find. Well, you have to dig a little bit maybe, but it's
Mm-hmm.
definitely there to purchase.
Interesting. Yeah. Well, capitalism, right? If we can
Yeah.
sell something for money, we'll sell something for money.
I would say that I don't now that you bring that up, I don't feel like I see much of that in like Western, like werewolves and vampires. I don't know if I've really seen much of merchandise aside from like Halloween costumes or maybe
Yeah.
like a more fun way, like a I don't know if you know Monster High, where it's like girls who are a vampire, but it's not really the same as the classical. But yeah.
Well, the way I think about it is, I think you're right. Like there are certain TV series, book series, and it's to sell volumes, but also they're fun to read. I don't blame anyone for
Mm-hmm.
buying a good book. But with monster movies, so when I was really young, one of the first horror monster movies I saw was Alien. Like they're still making new Alien movies,
Mm-hmm.
and that's
Yeah.
been a really long time. Another thing I thought about, and this was because I was having a conversation with Radio Lab about celebrating 50 years of the movie Jaws.
Mm.
In the time since Jaws came out, it was the very first movie to make a shark into a monster, and it's
Mm.
a pretty monstrous monster. There have been over 189 shark exploitation movies
Wow.
because they sell and it's
Yeah.
fun to watch. Yeah, including 5 featuring sharks and tornadoes.
Oh my gosh. Oh yeah, I forgot about
Sharknado,
sharks.
yeah, Sharknado 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Yeah,
Oh my gosh.
but I mean that I think gets at like why we're even talking about monsters, because once they're in your imagination, they stay, and you look for more monster stories, and you wind up consuming it,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't know, people figure out how to turn it into a product to sell you to.
Yeah. Like kind of while we're on the topic of like the shark, something I find interesting through yokai and Western monsters and everything, we love the idea of animals becoming monstrous or a combination of humans and animals, like the
Mm-hmm.
werewolf or anything like that. Where we're combining these animalistic features to humans and such and such. Like, why do you think that humans are so fascinated with doing that?
With imagining hybrids.
Like hybrids are using animals as monsters.
Because we are animals. And I think, no, I think like we feel an affinity with them. And when we
Hmm.
think about hybrids, we're like thinking about the animal parts of us. We're also thinking about the parts of animals that are so close to being human that it makes us
Hmm.
uncomfortable, especially because we mostly consider animals to be killable and disregardable.
Hmm.
But I think it also goes back to what we were talking about when we were talking about like yokai and the different kinds of bodies they offer. It turns the body into a playground for thinking how we might be embodied differently. Like there's a certain creativity in them. And human animal hybrids are all about like inventing with the body and
Hmm.
creating things with the body. Um, yeah. Can I ask you a question related
Yeah,
to
of
that? And
course.
if you don't know the answer, that's fine. But it's something I'm wondering about. Like, I get this pet theory that almost every culture, who knows, but almost every culture has like at least has monsters that are human animal
Hmm.
hybrids, and definitely some yokai are like that,
Hmm.
right? Monsters that play with size, so giants and or dwarves. There's gonna
Hmm.
be one, like one other or both. Monsters that are the dead coming back to life. right? There's always the thing that was supposed to be dead, but it's not. And this is kind of like about our fears of death and dragons or reptile related things. What do you think about that last one?
Don't know much about dragons and yokai now that I think about it.
Reptilian
maybe
ones
reptilian.
Or snake ones, because dragons are really snakes.
Most definitely there's a snake yokai. But with like dragons, I don't think I've ever heard of anything like that.
Well, if there's a snake, that works, because dragon is just from the Greek word for snake. A dragon really is just a snake turned into a bigger, scarier version.
Oh wait, no, there is a dragon. My bad. I just remembered. I don't know how there's literally a word for dragon. I don't know how I forgot about that. But yeah, no, there is. My bad. Because it's kind of like the Chinese type dragons, very similar throughout some Asian cultures.
Like the complicated ones.
Where it's like the very specific head and then like the long body with the four legs. But yeah, that's the dragon for sure. But it's like I didn't think about the connections that every single thing has something like that.
So far as I know, that's like, I won't say it's always true, but it's generally true that every culture has some version of those monsters. And it really makes me wonder why. Like, is that just part of being human, that our imagination dreams in certain categories that keep repeating, and it's something that we share? I don't know.
Like just consistently throughout, we're all like very fascinated with very certain things in life. It's very interesting.
But it goes back to what you were saying about yokai, because you said so many of the yokai are like a warning or a story around something, or an anxiety around something. Like, you talked about there's a yokai around food waste, right?
Yes.
If you waste your food, yokai comes back and will punish you.
Yes, many yokai are based on honestly humans doing something bad. Because like I think it's I wrote it down. The Tsukumogami, they're these yokai that are like objects. It's just object, like literally anything within this room could become a yokai if mistreated.
Could be a yokai right
exactly, now. Because
we'll push it closer to you.
Oh no. But like anything could become with an object can become one because of humans misusing it. So like the kasaobake, that's an umbrella that gets left behind and forgotten and misused. So it became monstrous because humans or people decided to do something to it. And it's the same thing with all objects. We decided to misuse or do something, which is honestly a very, very consistent trend within yokai, is that humans did something to make it monstrous in a way. And I feel like that's kind of the same in Western too, because with like Frankenstein, I know you brought that, like we made Frankenstein the monster. Even like werewolves and vampires, like by taking over areas or viewing them as a disgusting, like awful thing, they hurt us and karma kind of thing. So it's very interesting how humans seem to be the reason for yokai.
Yeah, I love that, and it reminds me. Well, one of the books I never get tired of teaching is Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. It's so good. But the creature in it really is not a monster per se. Like, it's made out of all these body parts, but it didn't choose that. Like, it finds itself in the body that it's in. And really, it just wants to be loved. I mean, it was really nothing more than that. Like, it wants to be able to have a story, be loved, belong, find a place of belonging. Eventually, like, thinks about having its own family. Like, who could blame it for wanting those things? And I guess with something like Frankenstein's creature, it's understandable because he seems so human. What I love about the yokai you were talking about, though, is like that desire to be regarded and cherished can extend to the world around us. And if we're not paying attention to things and discarding them as if they're useless and not giving them the regard they deserve, or not giving them value, when they come back as yokai, that's teaching us a really good lesson about how we should pay more attention to the world we're in.
Mm-hmm. So do you think that humans, like not just humans, sorry, messing up my words, that yokai need humans, or like monsters and yokai that need the people, or is it just humans that need monsters and yokai?
I think it's mutual. I mean, I think one of the things I believe is that we would not be humans in the way that we understand our own humanity
Mm-hmm.
if we didn't have monsters to companion us
Mm-hmm.
and help us to question that humanity and think about it and think about what its limits are.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you know, Isabel, one of the things that I like about many of the yokai that we've been talking about are that they're kind of cute and sweet, and
Mm-hmm.
like, who wouldn't adore them, right? The ones who drown you are all right, maybe not, but in general, like there's something there that prevents them from becoming like a moral condemnation of all humans. But I think there are other kinds of monsters that I can think of where they really are a severe condemnation of us as humans to live up to our own humanity.
Mm-hmm.
And there are so many monsters that we make by failing to acknowledge our other humans as fellow.
Mm.
And we live in a time when we have so much negative imagery and language around illegal immigrants, or foreigners, or people not of the same religion, and
Mm-hmm.
that monsterization of our fellow humans. I think that's where we as humans just fail to live up to our own ideals, and potential. I think that's when it's really sad, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
the humans we monsterize that really show our failures.
Yeah, I definitely agree. It's quite sad, but it's something that hopefully we can grow through time and
Yeah.
figure that out and stop, hopefully, for sure.
Well, and I wonder too, since we're on the topic, like some of the yokai that I saw pictures of that in your project,
Mm-hmm.
could easily, like you could say that those are people with disabled bodies. And
Mm.
is it partly like we humans who have normally proportioned bodies are uncomfortable with disability, and like by pushing non-normative bodies over to the margin of the yokai, or that's not us, like we're like that's a failure of our own sympathy and our own inclusion.
Yeah, I would definitely say that it's hints at that in a way, especially like I said, where yokai seem to be so interested in doing anything with like the human head or like the neck. And there are so many other ones that deal with other parts of the body where it's someone who's super, super tall or is really tall and also has a really long neck or something.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, the interest of like distorting the body in some way, I would not be surprised if it's linked to something with like disabled peoples
Yeah.
or anything of that sort.
And yes, we were talking about it, an example of it earlier with the blind monk who plays
Mm-hmm.
music and
Mm-hmm.
eventually loses his ears as a result. But like he starts off as a disabled body, and he's
Mm-hmm.
blind, and then just gets pushed more and more into that yokai category.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. I did want to ask, how do you think um the like evilness of like are yokai and monsters inherently evil, or like do humans make them that way? Both, do we literally put them out to become evil? Like I said, where Frankenstein, we kind of turned Frankenstein into an evil monster, or is it just that we think that they're evil rather than them actually being that way?
Um, I think we have trouble acknowledging that the evil doesn't come from the monster, it comes from us. And in some ways, it can let us off the hook to describe the monster as evil. But most of the time, the monster is just doing things that humans do all the time. And I'm, in a lot of the work that I've been doing, I'm interested in not letting humans off the hook for doing things that seem to me incredibly human, rather than monstrous. Like if we simply say it's monstrous, it's evil, it's the opposite of human, then the question is, well, then why do we humans keep doing it? And why have we always done it? Why did we do it throughout history again and again? Maybe what we need is a better idea of what humans should aspire to be. And that's the direction we need to move in.
It's like, take a second, like, analyze these and, like, understand, like, no, they're not this way just because they're all that way. It's like, there's some trends going on here for sure.
Yeah, no, and I think it leads us back to what we were talking about before. Like when we monsterize other humans and call them evil, like it makes it so that we're not responsible for them anymore. But what if we are responsible for all our fellow humans and we're not allowed to move people out of that category and say, no, I'm sorry, you're evil, so you're a non-citizen, or you've got to be moved out of here, or you're a threat to everything, so you get nothing, you get no rights. And that's on us. And it actually feels like then we're the ones who are being evil by putting up that boundary and refusing to care for our fellow humans.
Yeah, most definitely. Like, oh, the trends of everything are just very, very odd. And it's surprising that we don't catch them so quickly sometimes, or don't go back to analyze them. And it's like, it's all right here. We just gotta look into it and check more deeply for sure.
I think we got to look into it, and we got to spend more time with our monsters and come to understand them, because then we'll understand a lot more about us and our own limits.
I wanted to ask too, do you think that Japanese yokai complicate or do anything with Western, or like your idea of like monsters and Western monsters and such? Did yokai kind of change your views of anything at all?
I won't. Yes, I mean a little, in that they definitely made me see that the vocabulary around monstrosity and embodiment is really varied and beautiful and everywhere. I think what they help me to understand better is that very often we equate, and it's probably not the right thing to do, but we equate like Western sensibility or Western monsters with binaries, evil or good, like moral or not. A lot of monsters, though, even in, because I'm a medievalist, like even in medieval tradition, they don't care about those categories, and they're kind of morally ambivalent. It could go either way. They're just not interested in those labels. I think yokai are kind of like that too, where the label, to try to label them, is to do them an injustice. They're not inhabiting those kinds of easy categories. So they challenge us to think about a world where ethics and morality are complicated rather than easy. And that's the world we live in. Right? Making decisions, if we're weighing everything and weighing all possibilities and allowing like a book that we neglect can become a yokai because we didn't give it the respect that it's due. That's a really hard world to live in, but I'd rather live in a really hard world where our monsters are challenging us to be more complicated humans than in an easy world where we're doing all kinds of violence and not thinking about it.
Yeah, especially with yokai giving like warnings. Like I know the kappa is scary and spooky, but the only reason it drowns people or does anything to people is because you got too close to the water and you would have gotten hurt anyway. It's kind of just the explanation of like, if you do this, this will happen. You will get hurt. So by not going, I think it very targeted towards children.
Yep.
Because there's always issues with drowning with children. So it's kind of teaching children, don't go near the water because this will happen. The kappa will get you, and and so many other yokai are like that, where it's trying to teach you like, take care of your items, be respectful towards it. Don't just take the book and throw it across the room and say, yeah, that's fine. It's making sure to have like that moral. I think it helps us with our morals and values of like respecting objects, respecting nature, keeping an eye out, being observant, making sure that we know what's around us, what's going on, for sure.
I like how you put that, because that kind of circles back to what we were saying about monsters and capitalism, where they become a thing that's sold to us, it's for us to consume. It seems like a lot of the yokai are about not treating things as just for us or or being consumable. They really, like, they deserve a respect for being part of the world that they're in.
Mm-hmm.
And that world impinges on us, and we've got to pay attention to it, but it's not ours.
Yeah.
And that's, that's a good way to look at the world.
I find it interesting too. It just made me think that like yokai in Japan seem to be viewed a little bit more as just kind of a part of everything. They're just something that exists. They're just around that help us. While I feel like here it's more of a worry, like what if you're a vampire, or what if you're like what happens if that? It's more fear, more anxiety, or maybe an attractiveness to it, depending on the person, for
I was
sure.
gonna say probably both at once.
Yeah,
right?
like definitely is that mix. But I feel like at least in like America or other cultures, there's this more. There's a different kind of like scoping out for them. Like, what if? Like, where could they be? Versus, I feel like yokai have this more gentle, like we just exist. Like this is the way it is, almost kind of vibe.
When you put it like that, you make me realize that, like, in contemporary America, we like it's such an American thing. We like our monsters to be big, right? Take up a lot of space, have big personalities, make big threats, be associated with the end of the world. But there have been so many cultures, including ones that immigrated to the Americas, that had quieter traditions of monsters, things like elves and gremlins and goblins and things that live right alongside us. And they'll only threaten us if we break a rule, but they're not like apocalyptic dangers.
No.
And do you think, is there an American equivalent of like an everyday monster anymore? It's just kind of like quietly there, might be in the house, but is not trying to drive us out or kill us.
Nothing that is like specifically from America's. I feel like a lot of our monsters do come from many other parts of the world, and we kind of adopted them. But I don't think. I mean, like Monster Under the Bed is like a thing I know is in America, or Monster in the Closet, but it's dangerous. Like we're taught that it's dangerous.
Yeah.
So there's not really a friendly thing that kind of keeps around that's just there as like a more friendly thing, but could do something bad if you do something bad.
Like a thing that can coexist, and we got to respect it and be careful of it, but we don't have to panic that it's going to kill us in the night. It's like you leave it to do it, live its world, we'll live in our world, and those two worlds can overlap, and it's okay. But we don't. That's like such a non-American way of thinking, isn't it?
We seem to kind of demonize almost everything. Like even like
we love our walls, and we love pushing people out of things, and we love our gated communities, and
it's like interesting. You're thinking even like cryptids, like the Bigfoot or anything like that, where it's like it doesn't seem to be doing any harm. I haven't heard of anything where it's like a true like consistent story that like, oh, Bigfoot came and killed these people or anything. It's more of just like a like, ooh, we spotted him. It could be dangerous though, so you gotta watch out. But most things are very put in a very evil, like bad light in America.
Yeah, and they're always out there somewhere. So Bigfoot's out deep in the woods. But we have nothing living in our house with us. Like that's not our houses are ours, and we don't welcome any monsters or yokai or anything like that. Like we have no space for them.
Yeah, no, we keep it very this is my space. Everyone back off.
Right, Izabella, I think we need to invent the house monster. And be like,
yes.
the way to get our fellow citizens in the United States to live with difference right in their house, right? Respect things.
That's a good idea. Definitely let's create a little house monster that everyone can be very comfy with.
Comfy with to a point.
To a point,
but disturbed by a little bit, and they have to acknowledge their house is not only their home, it's the home of their house monster too.
Maybe we should reference the tofu boy, since you seem to like the cuteness of it, but also has this disturb. So maybe we'll reference a couple of like the cute spooky yokai.
I'm all in. You know, we eat a lot of tofu in my house, so I love to have like a little tofu boy holder where he just holds it out, and you're like, I want it, but I'm a little disturbed by that too.
Oh my gosh, that'd be so interesting. Just a little tofu boy runs up. Do you want some tofu?
Oh, and I mean, it kind of goes back to what we were talking about at the beginning, right? If your house has space for a tofu boy in it, like it's not your house anymore. And to be comfortable with that would be a real change in how we think about ownership and what's ours, and our ability to like have a world that conforms to what we want it to be. And maybe if we could wrap our minds around living in a world where everything's not ours, we'd start to make progress toward things like treating the environment better, some progress toward climate change, make some progress toward living with other people.
Most definitely. Even if it's just like, I feel like we need to have a better idea of like even just nature, like animals, like that's their home too. It's keeping in mind all of that. So definitely like keeping a better self-awareness of everything, and making sure that we're kind of sharing the space evenly in a way.
I appreciate that you and I, through this conversation, have solved the problems of humankind. Right? It's pretty easy.
We got it.
Embrace the monster in your house. Make space for it. Let it live in its difference, and the world might get a little better.
I agree.
All right. That feels like a good place to stop.
Yeah, probably.
Because once you solve the problems, right?
Right. We got everything
left except
solved.
Making new problems.
Yes.
Right. This was awesome.
Yes.
This is so much fun.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, of course.
I enjoyed this so much. It was a very interesting conversation.
Yeah, it was super fun, and I'm glad that we met a while ago, got to reconnect here. Your work is really great, and I look forward to more of it developing.
Yes, hopefully I'll get a whole bunch of information while in Japan and build on it and make something even greater.
You're gonna text me a picture of a yokai when you see one, right? your first spotting.
I'll make sure I'll get a bunch of photos. I'll just go around and be like, there's one. Exactly. Yeah, I'll become a yokai hunter. It's perfect.
This would be a great series. All right.